So I'm Nathan Ahern and this is my YouTube channel. This YouTube channel is primarily about two things: finding people with the spark and sharing the things that I've been up to over the last 25 or so years in business. People with a spark. You know, we all know people who have that special gift, that thing that's close to the surface, the twinkle in their eye. Sometimes people are rock stars or singers or great sports people or great business people or great at marketing. I'm looking for people like that. I spend my life looking for people like that. And this YouTube channel is about me saying, hey, this is the stuff that I've been up to. Do you want to work with me? Now, not everyone's going to want to work with me. A very small proportion of the world is going to want to work with me for a plethora of reasons. You know, most likely because I want to be up to things with people who are up to big things, that want to make a big difference to people in the world, and not everyone's up for that. And the second part of this YouTube channel is about sharing about the businesses that I've built, you know, over the past, 25 years, the businesses that I'm currently building and the businesses that I want to build in the future. And you could be part of that. Like that, you might be watching this YouTube channel thinking to yourself, I want to work with a guy like this. And I want to share my spark, the thing that's close to the surface for me. I'm going to do episodes for each business, maybe more than one, you know, if it's more complicated or I think of things that I could have talked about more in depth. I'm going to talk about a lot of the things that I've learned, a lot of success, a lot of failure. If you want to have a really successful business, you might want to learn from someone who is willing to share all those sorts of things. So if that's the sort of YouTube channel you're interested in looking at, definitely hit the like and the subscribe and stay tuned. So let's get on to what I've been up to over the last 25 or so years. So over those last 25 years, I've created businesses in all sorts of industries, from professional sports, mining across several different commodities, to retail, both e-commerce and bricks and mortar. I've created businesses in tourism, finance, software, so computer software, computer hardware, marketing, entertainment, leasing, equipment leasing, import and export, hospitality, equestrian, manufacturing, real estate, property management, crypto, probably a lot more. I do forget. And I've also created those businesses across many different countries. So Australia, the United States, Europe, Singapore, China, Mongolia, South Africa, the Philippines, Papua New Guinea. I also MC at events and discover that I can talk for 12 hours straight, for days on end and never run out of something to say. And also use that skill to run programs. So some of the programs that I do around business and personal development. And I've written 2 books, and I'm currently recording the audio version of the second book. I don't tell you these things to brag. I tell you these things because I want you to know where I've been, and what I've experienced and what I'm capable of. Because there's no point working with someone who hasn't been where you want to go. Reading something in a book is not the same as experiencing and actually doing it. I want you to know whether you decide whether you want to work with me or not, whether we can work together. So you might be sitting there thinking to yourself, having done all this, built all these companies across the world, that I've just had this incredible, easy experience. And anyone who has built a business or built as many as I have with people from all over the world, they know that success and failure are close. And I have been involved in some incredible successes and some incredible failures. So we'll talk about the successes first. So the biggest success that I've ever been involved with was a mining company here in Australia. Didn't exist, and the organisation that I was an executive of and worked with purchased a mine, essentially, but it wasn't operational. It was just a piece of dirt in the middle of nowhere. And within 18 months, we built that company up. It was listed on the stock exchange and then sold to Whitehaven Coal, which is an Australian listed company as well, for $2.7 billion. And that was an incredible ride. That was just insane to think that in such a short period of time, we could create that much value and develop that incredible asset. So you might be sitting there watching this video thinking to yourself, well, you've had all this success, great. You're going to tell me all about your businesses, great, and all the stuff you've done, all this stuff you've achieved. But where's the juicy bit? And the juicy bit comes from not just the successes, you're right, it also comes from the failures. And the biggest, failure that I've been involved in is $1 billion failure, like literally $1 billion. Not of lost shareholder value, but of actual money, and it was huge. It went from $1 billion billionaire to zero. We were pretty much close enough to it that it didn't really matter. And that was incredible. And I've also been involved in a few $1 million failures, mind you, or multi-million dollar failures, but the $1 billion failure by far was the most educational experience of my life. And I find it difficult to explain to people, you know, the difference between $1 million or a multi-million dollar failure and $1 billion failure. And the difference is literally, you know, 1,000 times more educationally valuable. And the best analogy I've ever heard about, you know, to have me grasp the difference between 1 million and 1 billion is that 1 million seconds is 12 days and 1 billion seconds is 31 years. Failure teaches you so much about yourself, about how you react to failure, about how how businesses operate in failure, how other people act in failure. The little nuances, the little things that point towards failure, you know, happening or being close. The conversations you need to have to make sure that things move in the right direction. It's an incredibly important part of success is failure. Even though I would like to have not had those failures, they were inevitable because those failures happened, you know, that failure, that $1 billion failure happened when I was 30. And I just didn't have the tools at the time to stop it from happening. It wasn't my $1 billion. My business was connected very, very closely, and we did quite well from it. But I would have preferred to at least have had some of the skills to put a stop to that failure happening. I don't tell you these things to brag. I tell you these things because I want you to know where I've been, you know, and what I've experienced and what I'm capable of. Because there's no point working with someone who hasn't been where you want to go. You know, reading something in a book is not the same as experiencing and actually doing it. So you might be sitting here again thinking to yourself, hang on, Nathan's done all this great stuff all over the world, built all these great businesses. He's had huge successes and huge failures. Why have I never heard about this stuff before? And it's a really good question. People kept asking me to create, you know, and talk about this stuff. And people kept contacting me through my Instagram or my Facebook and or other, you know, YouTube channels. And I realized that I'd been waiting for the moment to work out how to explain to someone what I did. And then I realized a great swimmer doesn't really know how to explain to other people why they're a great swimmer, or a great, you know, guitar player doesn't really know how to explain to people why they're a great guitar player. They just hear the sound and it happens. You know, what I do just it seems to happen. I have taken on accepting that I don't know how to tell you exactly how it is that I do this, but I'm going to tell you the results. This is a friend of mine about 4 years ago got in contact with me and said, look, I want to create a business, a tourism business, and I want it to be the most successful in the whole country. And I said, you know, this person's got the spark, you know, and I'm always looking for people with a spark. But she said, like, I've never run a business before, but I want you to help me do this. And I thought, well, holy cow, this is going to be a real challenge. So less than 2 years ago, I traveled to her country, and I'll talk about this later. Don't worry, I'm purposefully, you know, keeping a little bit aside. I traveled to her country, and we looked at how would we develop a business this way. Now, we talked about it beforehand, but being there made a huge difference. And between then, less than 2 years ago, and today, we are more successful at marketing their country, the country in tourism, than the country is at marketing themselves. The government is worse at marketing their country, and we're across the entire country. We provide tourism services at a depth that no other provider does in the entire country. So that's the sort of results you should expect to get from me if you do work with me or we work together. So you might be wondering where this sort of spark of mine started, where this passion of mine, like how am I able to work across so many different industries, across so many different cultures, across so many different countries, and produce results in an incredibly speedy amount of time. And the best I can explain it to you is my interest in people. Like, I love people. I think that trade is an incredible conversation that we have with each other, and I have been fascinated since I was a kid, like very, very young. Why are people the way they are? It's why I wrote the book Art of Gaslighting. I think that that is my major interest in success. Like, why am I good at technology? I'm very good at having people step past what gets in the way of them. And technology elicits a reaction, a response, a concern for change. That's where my interest and I think my success comes from in business. My interest in business, my parents have had businesses, as long as I can remember. And small businesses, nothing massive. I wasn't given a huge education in business, but I certainly was given we certainly sat around the dining room table and talked about business often, or at least I heard it being talked about often. And started my degree in business in 1999, and in 2001 was where I ran my first business, and that's where I discovered my love of making a difference to people. Like, absolutely adored it. I ran like this sort of nightclub at university, like this events. I organised a lot of the events, a lot of the partying events, and I just thought it was the bee's knees. And we'd never made more money up until that point, until this year. But I'll tell you about that later. And I love doing what I do. And how I live my life today, it's very simple. I want to do awesome things with awesome people. So if you're up to doing awesome things with awesome people and you're looking for someone who has my ability, definitely get in contact. Definitely get in contact. If you're not sure, send me a message. Ask me some questions. I'm happy to contribute to your success. I want you to get value out of this, whether we're going to work together or you're just going to ask some questions, or you're just going to watch the videos and go, oh, I can use that in my own business. So who's my ideal customer? My ideal customer is someone with the spark, someone who wants to create something bigger than themselves, someone who wants to do something extraordinary, something different, something that makes a huge difference to the world, someone who has something really special about them. And they want to go and do something exceptional. It doesn't have to be in a particular country. It doesn't have to be with using a particular language or in a particular industry or in a particular culture. It doesn't even have to be something particularly unique. Like Red Dog Technology was a tech business that was built, in the early 2000s that wasn't unique, but how we did it was very unique. Tourism is not a unique business in the world, but how we've done tourism is very unique for this particular country. So how I usually work with my customers is that I have equity-only customers. So that would be customers or people who want to do something absolutely sensational and they've produced results previously, and or the equity that I'm being paid it has some value, so that I can actually use it to pay bills and live my life and do those sorts of things. Then I have the majority of my customers pay me money, and then the majority of those people give me equity. And they give me equity because they want me to hang around. They want me to continue to contribute to the success of their business. And then you've got some customers who just purchase, just pay. There's no equity. They want me to come in, deal with an issue that I'm expert at. A lot of those customers do continue to come back and work with me. I don't have many customers that work with me and then never work with me again. So that'll give you a bit of an idea of the ideal customer, whether you fit. How you really know is if you message me and say, hey, this is my business. This is the idea I've got. I'd like to work with you. Can we have a call? I want to hear from you. Ask me questions, those sorts of things. Fantastic. If this is what interests you and you want to, know more, I'm going to create many more videos. I don't know how many yet, but at least 30 or 40 videos so far I've got planned. I'm going to share about what I've done, what I'm currently doing. If you watch a video of mine, you're like, hey, I really want to know more about that subject, definitely message me. If you want to ask me a question, just post it in the comments below. How you get in contact with me will be in the notes below the video or somewhere around this video, maybe on my profile links. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. So I'll see you in the next video.